Story 1. It depends on what you mean by intimidating. Physically threatening? Seeming to be out of your league? Making you hesitate to interact? Story 2. Prolonged eye contact and rapid-fire questions one after another without a moment for you to respond. Story 3. A woman who has skill in the sense that she can initiate and maintain a conversation while being flirty. It does not necessarily intimidate me, but it definitely throws me off balance. I have exclusively experienced it with older women, and I will admit it has had me flustered and a bit off every time. It is a guaranteed way for a woman to gain leverage over me. Story 4. In what capacity? There is a world of difference between a woman who is intimidating at the bar and a woman who is intimidating in a corporate setting. Story 5. A machete or a gun? Maybe nunchaku. A broadsword for sure. A broken pool cue she just snapped over her thick thighs. Wearing 2 pairs of brass knuckles. Story 6. A significant level of dismissiveness tends to accompany it. Sometimes we want to talk to you for purely selfish reasons. Other times it is because we see you have something on your nose and are trying to tell you. Story 7. If she seems too into me, now I have to live up to whatever movie-like fantasy she has of me in her mind. Story 8. In a negative way or a positive way? Negative way, overly aggressive and unhinged. Positive way, composed and assertive. Story 9. In what context? The bar? Looking like she is not interested in talking is enough for me to say, yes, I am going to leave her alone. In other settings, such as work, it is the same as with men. Being overly confrontational, holding grudges for trivial reasons, and clearly delighting in cruelty. Story 10. She is a significantly more well-rounded person than I am, well-traveled, articulate, and successful. I have never really excelled outside my league, so to speak. Story 11. Intimidating, nothing I guess. If you want to know what makes me avoid a woman, it would be if she is a terrible, impolite, mean human being. But it is the same for men. Story 12. I also think using the word intimidating is silly. Women are people. Treat them like people. Story 13. An active go-getter, whereas I am more of a lazy procrastinator who has not figured out how to spend 2 minutes to clean the one bowl the dishwasher did not fully clean in January. Story 14. It sounds mean, but nothing, really. I mean, maybe if she had some power over me, like being my manager, and had the power to fire me with a noted history of being really volatile with subordinates. But just some woman in day-to-day life? I'm not intimidated. This kind of social dynamic is usually women explaining away the fact that they are unpleasant to be around as a male failing. It's not intimidating at all. Story 15. When she makes comments in a crowded room, not necessarily at anyone, but we all know who she is talking about. Or when she makes everyone within earshot hear her berate you. They want power or to be feared. Those types of women I stay away from. Story 16. Being the sort of coward who brings people into disputes and is not above lying to get them primed to join her side against you. Story 17. I am curious about the split in answers and assume it is a lack of experience that causes intimidation. I understand being intimidated by a woman who could overpower you, but by everyday women? Story 18. I don't think I have ever been intimidated by a woman, but I have been put off by aggression a number of times. Story 19. Intimidating? Nothing, really. Thoughtful, personal questions tell me she is going to be a bit intense. Story 20. There have been very few times I have been intimidated by a woman, and it has always been the same sort of thing. Are they skilled or accomplished in ways that I am not but wish I could be? I am frequently scared off from approaching women, but that is a mixture of my anxiety and slight autistic aspects of my brain that tell me I normally misread things or am somehow off-putting to random women. So I know the difference between intimidation and other concerns. The times I have been outright intimidated from trying anything with someone is when I think they are so above me in skill level, accomplishment, psychological aptitude, or general lived experience. For example, the latest woman who has worried me that I am not enough for her has shared how she has partaken in the Lakota tradition of sundancing for the last 20 years despite being as pale as me. That was something she just stumbled upon as a result of traveling willy-nilly, talking with people, and somehow getting accepted. Something like that is so amazing to me that I look at it and feel quite small in comparison, making me wonder just how much I could offer her or how long I could hold her attention. Story 21. Them being a woman laugh out loud. Seriously though, I do not find women intimidating, especially strong women. I love strong, take charge women. Story 22. The fact that she can suddenly, without any reason, claim sexual assault and immediately assume I am guilty because of my gender is unfair. Story 23. The real question is, why would a woman want to be intimidating? I've been married a long time. I can honestly say that women, in general, haven't been intimidating. I have only felt intimidated when I have failed to live up to my end of an agreement with my wife. It's my own shame or embarrassment that leads to any feeling of intimidation. Nothing she does is a factor except her disappointment, which is obviously the primary factor. Outside of my marriage, what do I have to feel intimidated about? Physically, I'm bigger, faster, and stronger than almost all women. Statistically, I have more experience with violent confrontations, and I have trained my mind and body to defend myself. Professionally, I'm good at what I do, but some of the best supervisors I've worked with have been women. I respect their abilities and positions, and so far, that respect has been reciprocated. So, I ask again, why would a woman want to be intimidating? Mutual respect is the goal. Story 24. It only happens in that moment when she is so completely full of anger that she has resolved to spend every breath from this moment forward finding ways to ruin your life and end your ability to have happiness in any capacity. Other than that one scenario, there is nothing intimidating about women. Story 25. Women are not intimidating to men. Most of the time when a woman says men are intimidated by her or gives another reason, it is simply an excuse to explain why men are not attracted to her. Story 26. I can think of a few examples from my experience, giving me the look when I am just minding my own business or trying to be polite. Resting B****** face. Talking negatively about me and turning people against me when I do not reciprocate. Stalker-like behavior such as following me, being everywhere I do not expect her to be, knowing who I am without me formally introducing myself, and displaying a passive-aggressive attitude. Story 27. Just not knowing what they expect from me. Many of them judge me because of my attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which is essentially attention deficit disorder with hyperactivity. I get nervous because I don't know if they think I'm strange if I try to talk to them. I don't know if it's safe to pick my nose because I'm not sure if they will be grossed out by it. Story 28. Absolutely aggressive. The kind who sees you talking to another woman, even casually, and immediately goes on the attack. Even when you explain that it is just a friendly conversation, she still accuses you of things. Story 29. Intimidating in the sense of being better at male skills? Ask women like Ronda Rousey or Rhea Ripley. Those women are intimidating and they know it. Otherwise, knowing how to use words and emotions as tools for destruction. Story 30. If she raises her eyebrows and changes from talking regularly to talking with a country and nasally accent, I feel like I did something wrong when they do that. I do not know, maybe it is just a thing among country black people where it reminds us of our mothers scolding us. Story 31. Meekness. A girl who is forward, aggressive, confident, intelligent, with powerful woman vibes. Just try and stop me from striking up a conversation. Nice, innocent, submissive girls I shy away from. I do not know what to talk about with them. To be fair, I am married and a bartender, manager, and owner, so my intentions are always good. I just love powerful women. Story 32. When a woman has a cluster of personality disorders with poor boundaries and a tendency toward disordered behavior or violence. Story 33. If I find her attractive and feel she only dates men with money. If she doesn't like my appearance, that is fair enough. But if she likes my appearance but judges my financial status, that intimidates me because it makes me feel like she would look down on me. When I made money, no woman was intimidating unless she dated popular musicians. Story 34. I used to feel intimidated by physically strong women when I was young, probably because I had a cousin 17 years older than me who beat me constantly when I was a kid. But at 14, I fought back and never felt intimidated by a woman again. Story 35, mostly just when they are standoffish and rude for no reason. I have realized that looks alone do not actually intimidate me. It is their attitude and personality. Story 36. I don't know if intimidating is how I would describe it, but there are women that I know are out of my league for various reasons. Women who are very successful and live an expensive lifestyle or maintain a very busy social schedule are probably more than I can afford or would want to bother with. Story 37. I take this to mean why men are often too intimidated to approach women for dating. Even today sometimes, but especially when I was in middle school and high school, when I chatted with a girl I found desirable, there was a physical response that was hard to control, similar to stage fright or public speaking. My heart would start beating fast, it was hard to control my breathing. I would get weak in the knees, my brain would fog up, and I would stutter. Obviously, I craved physical contact, so I had to exercise self-control to behave. Then, you have to have something clever or interesting to say while your brain goes blank. There is also the fear of rejection, where even if you do everything right, the girl might not be interested, which can be disheartening. Suppressing these emotions is a learned skill for men, and the longer you are out of the dating game, the worse it gets. Story 38. Well, my wife, when she has that angry look and you ask if everything is okay, just says, "I'm fine," without changing her facial expression. I've given up on trying to help. So, I tell the kids to go help their mother and then find something to fix in the shed. It's not ideal, but they are in their late teens and early 20s, and I want them to move out eventually. Story 39. She knows what she has, knows what she wants, gets what she wants, and is more confident than I am. If she is interested in me as well, it feels like survival horror. Story 40. The only type of women that is intimidating are those methamphetamine addicts screaming in the streets in trailer parks because they are unpredictable and unhinged. Story 41. Probably the yelling and screaming. That sort of behavior should not be acceptable towards a coworker you are in charge of or your boyfriend. Story 42. Honestly, nothing now because I stay in my head, assessing how I feel about them instead of wondering what is going on in their head. When you learn to stop being anxious about what other people think of you and focus on what you think of them, you take your power back. Story 43. I see a recent culture of women claiming that men not wanting to associate with them is due to intimidation or insecurity, rather than considering that they may not seem enticing to associate with. Story 44. Maybe if she pulled a gun on me while at her place and then demanded to see my private area while unzipping her pants. Story 45. I am not sure if I should use intimidated here, as generally speaking, women do not intimidate me. However, I avoid women who talk to too many men, have bad energy, or come off as pompous, spoiled brats. I really do not understand why men frequently initiate conversations and validate these types of women. They may look nice, but as far as being a good partner goes, they usually do not contribute much. Story 46. Act weird and be inconsistent. I have a story. I chased this girl for 2 weeks. Then she ended up having a boyfriend. Before that, she showed signs that maybe she liked me in some way, but she never talked to me directly. After she told me she had a boyfriend, she continued playing games around me. She would smile when she saw me, even though she knew I was hurt twice. To be honest, the second time was on me. After I saw her again, I became intimidated and afraid of her unpredictable behavior. She would smile and sit near but never follow through. I knew she was a bad person. I want to use worse words to describe her, but I won't. You might say it's all in my head, and maybe it is 60% of the time. After that, I stopped trusting girls or women who showed interest in me but acted inconsistently with their feelings. I put up armor and closed my heart. Feels heavy to do that. I have encountered too many like that. I am sick and tired of it. I once talked to a French girl and expressed interest, but then she acted weird and inconsistent during our second meeting. She touched a guy's hand and looked at me. When I walked toward her, she walked away. For me, what intimidates me are those actions, and it's not worth the pain again. Everything becomes a mess in my head. I will tell you now, most guys are not intimidated by girls or women. It's just how you interact with us. We want normal people, not weirdos. If some guys like those things, then more power to you. Story 47. When she has me at knife point, she screams bloody murder to get her way and has no problem unleashing her wrath on her environment. Story 48. What is going on with women that this question is asked every day? What nonsense are you saying to each other? And what is this meant to explain? Story 49. Changeable behavior. When you never know what you are going to get. You get to her place, and she is either floating around the kitchen listening to Taylor Swift and making you pancakes, or she barely gets out of bed and stares daggers at your face because you are there. I had a girlfriend like this once. It is terrifying. The smallest thing would set her off, and once she was off, everyone needed to take cover. But then, just as quickly, she would morph back into this sweet little angel who would sneak little kisses, hold your hand, and call you handsome. I realize now this is called narcissistic masking. Story 50. When she is sitting high in black robes, I have to explain myself while calling her Your Honor. Also, I sit on the other side of the desk at the parole and probation office, showing her my job applications. Story 51. Not much that she can do. Confidence or anything that is awesome makes me more attracted. Any kind of unpleasantness makes me less attracted. However, if she is surrounded by other men or always has a lot of men after her, that intimidates me. I do not care about past relationships or anything like that, but I am intimidated by the idea of competing for her attention. Story 52. The fact that they can ruin your life just because you are unattractive. Women can be intimidating. You can have decent social skills, but even then, they can ruin your reputation. Story 53. Repulsive, maybe, but intimidating. I imagine my girl swooshing a sword or something, and it is a turn on. Story 54. Women often confuse being insufferable with being intimidating. A woman is only intimidating when she is clearly dangerous, such as carrying a weapon or involved in harmful activities. Story 55. Nothing. Women are not scary in the slightest. What makes me unattracted to a woman is when she tries to be tough, smokes, has a bunch of tattoos, and gets into fights. I like a girl who is feminine and motherly, not someone who tries to compete with me physically. Story 56. Nothing. Except for social challenges. Men are never intimidated by women. This is just an excuse women use to make other women feel better about not getting a date. Story 57. I get incredibly shy from prolonged eye contact and attention from some women, but I am never intimidated. I have never considered a woman to be intimidating. Story 58. There is nothing wrong with a strong woman. Any man who cannot deal with a strong woman is not a confident man. Story 59. Many women use the word intimidating, which means frightening or overwhelming someone, especially to make them do what one wants. For example, he tries to intimidate his rivals. The word originates from the mid-17th century, from medieval Latin intimidat-, meaning made timid, from the verb intimidare, based on timidus, meaning timid. Instead of intimidating, you should use the term off-putting. Off-putting refers to something that is slightly unpleasant or worrying, causing people to avoid involvement. It can provoke uneasiness, dislike, annoyance, or repugnance. For example, aggressive behavior or excessive work expectations can be off-putting. Story 60. Approaching me. I know I am not that attractive. Therefore, she surely wants something from me or intends to scam me. Story 61. We have to start using a different word or start using clarification words for this discussion. Most people associate the word intimidating with physically intimidating. It makes the conversation somewhat silly when people say men are intimidated by successful women. I would certainly feel intimidated by Ronda Rousey or Gina Carano if they came at me with fists clenched, but not on a date with an averagely built woman who is the chief executive officer of a large business. Another word is needed. Story 62. Extremely loud voice and overconfidence. Extreme masculine traits. Typically North American women, or on the other extreme, gold digger vibes, also known as a spoiled princess attitude. Story 63. When she is too feminine and pure to be realistic, know that the more feminine they are, the more deceptive and covertly manipulative they become. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.